In the quest for understanding the complexity of this problem, we have made a very small progress yesterday. What we have done is we have understood the ಯಾರಿಗೆಲ್ಲ ಓದಬೇಕು ಅಂತಿದೆ ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಬನ್ನಿ. To summarize what we have done yesterday, reduce the zoom factor by around what we did yesterday, zoom it down. We have just understood what happens within an organization. We told yesterday that the whole operations here can necessarily be understood at three levels. At the bottom level, there are specific systems which we call as transaction processing systems, which capture the entire flow of a process covering various functional units of business. So typically transaction processing system should be related to various functional information systems which cater to the requirements of independent unit within an organization. What you should not forget here is that these systems do not exist in isolation one and don't exist as one monolithic unit. For example, take HR. It's a typical functional information system. So there will be HR information system, sales information system, marketing information system, production information system, and so on. They don't exist as one monolithic unit. There are subdivisions within them. For example, let us consider a typical business organization selling some 5-10 products to a vast geographical area. Now, say they want to introduce a new product. How does the whole operation happen? They want to introduce a new product. So, who should initiate? Somebody at the top level will initiate the process of saying we will introduce a new product. What is the whole operations which will follow? They should tell the marketing department to do a basic market study on whether there is a market for such a product. To do that, they have to deal with the accounts department to take funds. Accounts department in turn may rely on finance department to do all the planning required to get that funds. Once the decision to go in for a new product is done, they should intimate the production. Then production department will say we need new machinery, we need new people. Once new people requirement comes in, the HR department will come into the picture. They will do whole lot of planning. What kind of people we require? Will they be viable for us to keep them for a long time? Do we hire them temporarily? Do we hire them permanently? What is the remuneration that we have to give? All these issues. So, these systems don't exist independently, one, and two, they operate necessarily at different levels. We have already identified that every information system should operate at three levels. That is what we have said. So, different information systems, each working at three different levels, satisfying the requirement of each level of management. So, day-to-day operations, mid-level management, tactical management. They have to satisfy all of them. So, what we have now is a complex system wherein each functional information system is divided into three different parts satisfying different needs, but still interconnected to each other, because independently they can't do any good for an organization. And there is transaction processing system which covers the entire processing. Now, are we done? Is this what an organization needs? No. this does not cover even 5 or 10% of the organization need for information. Why? As we have seen these ideas in the previous discussions, an organization does not exist in an isolated fashion. It needs to deal with at least two set of people who are outside the organization. One set of people whom I always call as trusted players who give input to the organization. Man, material, machine requirements of an organization are supplied by outsiders. And once company produces something, information or a product, it has to be delivered. So, the complete picture is this, that there are suppliers. Suppliers, when I say suppliers who give raw materials as well as financial institutions who give you money, all of them. And people who give you the human resources, placement agencies, वगैरह वगैरह. All of them are suppliers. They feed your organization. You do something and whatever you produce should go out. The information systems which take care of this entire chain of operations are called as supply chain management systems. Supply chain management systems. So they not only cover what happens within an organization, but they are bothered about these two parts. Naturally, this part is called as upstream and this is called as downstream. So there are two parts in supply chain management system, managing upstreams and managing downstreams. Each is a very independent discussion, and so I am just summarizing the discussion. Upstream is not as simple as there is one supplier, you take everything from it. It's not that simple. Many of the times, you are not directly taking something from someone, but there can be 2-tier, 3-tier level of suppliers. You deal with him, he in turn deals with subcontractors, he in turn deals with subcontractors. These multi-level kind of relationship between suppliers do exist. In a business, until unless you don't know how to optimize this particular upstream, you are always in trouble. So most of the times, while we design supply chain management system, we are bothered about how to optimize this. It is not as simple as writing a line, please understand. This is an independent business in itself. You have to replicate this model here, which they would have done. When I say I am writing a link here, I am meaning two things. I am saying that there is a hardware link between them. Hardware link should exist. That is easy. You can just pull a wire. Technically, there is a possibility of having a trusted link between two organizations. How? What is the network technology behind forming a private network? VPN. So that part is very clearly understood. That a VPN should be created between the suppliers and yourself. That is clear. What is the biggest problem? Biggest problem is, how do you make sure that information passes between two organizations in a seamless manner? If you can't appreciate the complexity of this issue, let me give a very diluted way of understanding this. Consider that hypothetically if you had done a project in a real manner, when 2 or 3 people in the group have done their parts independently. Now, can you very simply say that you bring all the programs together, make a header file, call all the 3 programs independently and start passing values between 3 independent programs? Is it as simple? In fact, I used to make people play this small business game. I stopped using business games in my class. Earlier I was doing that. I was asking students to play a very simple game. I don't know whether I have tried it in this class or not. Wherein I would break the students into 2 groups and make them design something and then bring it together to make them understand it's not as simple as you bring together, there are certain issues. The issues of standardization and things like that. As I am fond of saying, electrical engineering matured the day when nuts, bolts and other things came into standard form. Because you can independently manufacture the wings and the motor and then put them together. That is not the case in software. Component-based software engineering is still an idea people talk about. It is not that you take pieces of software together and put them together. It does not work. That is a huge problem. How do you integrate the independent information systems so that the data moves in a seamless manner? That is the idea here. The idea in supply chain management is, without this link, how will things work? You want certain material. You will write to this company that I want this material. That company will say, okay, give me the invoice, processing of invoice, confirmation of order. Somebody should move from here to here to do all that. Finally, what should happen? After the order confirmation happens, these guys will supply the materials to you. Then you confirm, saying that yes, the materials are arrived. That is the pre-SCM kind of a scenario. With information system, how should it work? How should it work? The production department, we will say, will have just-in-time manufacturing. That is, the marketing and the sales department knows how much quantity of product is required for next month, so that you don't manufacture and keep it in the warehouse. That is a loss for a company. So there is some intelligent system predicting how much number of products are required. Then there should be some department within an organization which starts this action. This should trigger some action here because there is a trusted link. All the process should happen through this trusted link in a matter of minutes. Order generation should happen simultaneously. They should do whatever is necessary within their organization to supply. Finally, you are linked with your financial players. You tell the bank to make this payment to them. Done. That is how the whole situation should occur now. Not as simple as we thought. So the challenge now is integrating the information systems in the upstream. What about the downstream? Downstream, there is no one actor here. There are multiple actors. When you produce something, of course, you can take it directly to customers. That option is available to you. But what is a traditional downstream? You give it to wholesale dealers. Wholesale dealers give to retailers. From retailers, customers come and take the product. How do you manage that stage? Some of your dealers may have automated systems, some may have manual systems. How will you integrate them? These are the issues. Supply chain management is an independent topic in itself, which in all probability may be given as an elective for you in our forthcoming semesters. So people who are interested in understanding the technical as well as business process of supply chain management may opt for that elective format. I will stop here. The next task that we have to take into consideration while designing an information system is a third angle. People who actually drive our system, the customers. How do you deal with them? How do you deal with your customers? Earlier there were many ways of dealing with customers. You could send your feedback form through mail and other things. Now we have matured enough to understand that this relationship is very important for a company. Therefore, a class of information systems which are classified as customer relationship management or CRM has come into picture. CRM. So if this is SCM, this is CRM, customer relationship management. Again, this is an independent topic which requires vigorous training. Diluting the topic, let me say this. Today, customer relationship management does not mean having call centers. Don't mistake. Having a call center is just a part of enhancing the experience of your customers. Call centers don't solve all customer problems. You need to think beyond them. What are the ways in which you have to think? How to integrate the customer experience. For example, can you use web in an innovative way to solve the customer's problem? Can you integrate telephone, fax, emails and all the modern tools which people use to give him a better service? All these questions should be answered because people are relying on newer technologies more and more. Before coming here, I was just updated by my friends that Twitterly, whole issue going on that C.K. Prahlad is no more. C.K. Prahlad is the great management guru who has given us the very important theory of bottom of the pyramid in management. No more. Nobody can verify. But everybody is creating the buzz that C.K. Prahlad is no more. This is happening more and more, and companies should be very, very keen on how they can control the information flow within all these technologies which are cropping up. Imagine customers using all these tools to send a bad word about your newly launched product. It always happens. It's a part of business strategy today. Whether your competitor or yourself, you create a buzz around your product. It happened when Apple released its new product recently. It happens every time. And modern organizations cannot be insulated by all these developments. So, creating a very effective customer relation management which goes beyond call centers and other things is a challenge. There are technologies available. But more than that, how does your customer relationship management integrates with your information system within an organization is the question. So, in a summarized manner, modern information systems should look like this. There should be a very clear-cut responsibilities for what each department within an organization will do. They can have their own functional information system. There should be a transaction processing system covering all the activities within an organization. These systems should exist at 3 levels, and later we should integrate them with supply chain management both from upstream and downstream and create meaningful relationship with your customers. This is how modern information systems should look. There are 2 issues which drive this. 2 issues. One is EDI, another is extranet. EDI or electronic data interchange is the backbone of this. Without it, it does not exist. How do you transfer data from one point to other through electronic manner is the question. Issues of standards, I am talking about data standards. Issues about machine compatibility, all this come into picture in EDI. Can you make 2 systems talk simply like that in the absence of standard protocols? What if this application with your distributor is written in COBOL and you have gone into developing an application in .NET platform? How will they talk with each other? Very difficult. So these are the questions in EDI, electronic data interchange. You should have a policy for EDI. Second, in the network level, there should be a very good extranet. Extranet. How do you develop this and make it immune to all hackers and other network intrusion kind of issues? That is also a critical question. So if you answer all these questions in a very comprehensive manner, you will have a very solid information systems placed in your organization, which you can cash out. The case studies in this particular chapter are very interesting. I want to make a very general appeal to all of you. Since we are coming to the end of this course, I want all of you to make one sincere attempt, sincere. You decide. I am not assigning marks for this exercise or anything. I am asking this for your own. Choose 2 domains of your interest, any domain. 2 domains, specific domains. Tourism, healthcare, travel, logistics, education, rural management, any 2 domains of which interest you. I leave that to you. And can you think in a very comprehensive manner on how can IT help that particular group? Do a survey of what exists and can you propose something more using all the discussion that we have in the class. It can be anything, banking, finance, insurance, anything. Select 2 domains and question yourself. How can IT help this business? I would go one step forward. I wanted to make this as a mandatory exercise, but I thought it would be too much. I wanted actually to tell you to go back to your 3rd semester, pick up if you have a copy of the report that you have written, and then take a hard look at the report that you have written and now integrate IT there. I initially thought I would tell that, but later I thought, with all the labeling done on me, I don't want to take one more label. So, why torture this? Let everybody be happy. But I want you to do this exercise. I am very sure this will be a very interesting exercise. One, to test whether you understood the concepts correctly or not, and second, to see the range in which IT can be useful. As I keep saying, the discussions in the classroom will always be incomplete because the scope of the subject is quite large. Why I am saying this is, the case studies in this particular chapter at least are very, very colorful. Colorful in the sense they are so diverse. You will be amazed to find what are all the areas in which IT is used. There are 6 case studies in this chapter and 1 chapter and case study. The initial case is a lesson for all of us on how a minor software update in a bank caused a huge problem for the customers. The issue was that there was some software in the bank, they had to update the software. Somebody like this maybe, he wrote the update, they applied the patch. And after that what happened is told in that particular case. And how it impacted millions of customers who were depending on that bank for everyday transaction. I think that particular case study is an eye-opener for us to understand one topic which we have neglected in software engineering. SCM, Software Configuration Management. I had tried introducing that topic in the software engineering literature, but somehow people resisted it. We don't understand today that configuration management is a very important topic in software engineering. Because you don't write the software and release it. It does not happen like that in the real world. You write bits and pieces. Later there will be a system which will do what we call as release of a software. How to manage the different releases of the software you should know. Because if we don't know, who will learn? So I think the person who is trying out this case should do a bit of research on software configuration management and how non-tackling of software configuration management caused this particular problem. 1. The second case pertains to government regulations and reporting. We have seen that one of the major tasks of management information system is to generate reports. And we have seen in detail what are the different kinds of reports which should be generated. Why are they important? See, remember in business, maintaining records for every transaction becomes very, very important. For more, look at Shashi Tharoor, Lalit Modi controversy. Maintaining records and how good you are in maintaining the records determines how successful you are in business. In a manual process, retaining the records is very difficult. But if you automate things, every click can be stored. The case in this particular chapter pertains to how government, through an act in US, forced the organizations to maintain clear financial records. A similar act is being thought of today in India. So the person who is doing this particular case, I want that person to do a comparative study of what is that particular act regarding financial transactions in US and how a similar act is introduced in India now, and what big opportunity is there for software companies in this area. See, what happens whenever a new standard comes in into any area, there is a huge scope for software engineers to develop software for that. Tally survived all these years because of that. Because Tally is the only company which gives you the reports in the way income tax department wants. That's all. Nothing great about it. People keep asking, why is Tally so successful in accounting? It's because of this reason. Not because it's super efficient or anything else. It satisfies all the legal requirements in Indian scenario. Whereas all the global software companies, they do a generic product. The next two cases in the chapter pertain to how companies are trying to integrate newer technologies to give customer satisfaction. There is one example of a sports manufacturer who has designed some new kinds of suits which can be worn by athletes, and how that product became so popular that he was getting more orders every day, and how he managed that using IT, that is discussed. See the diversity of the areas. Another case in the same domain refers to a firearms manufacturer. And how did he use IT to have a very meaningful customer relationship management. These two cases are